If you had asked us 10 months ago if we were going to leave here soon, of course we wouldn't have made certain choices. Because 10 months ago, we invested a lot of money into our dream workshop / studio to create a really great atmospheric place. We actually managed to do that. We installed new lights, painted the walls, added 2 lifts, and closed up the ceiling hole. We put in an incredible amount of hours to get it to where it is now. But there's a time to come and a time to go. Because as shown in the thumbnail, we're moving again since we're not utilizing all the space in this location. You're correct about that. Optimal use of these square meters. For example, upstairs we have a lot of square meters and we're just not using them. It's a waste of money as the rent is quite high. Our last invoice was $1,880, including value-added tax, without gas, water, and electricity. So keep in mind it's roughly $2,000. Every month that's lost on something you're not using to its full potential is just a real shame. And that's why we're moving to another location now, a farm. Which, by the way, we're going to take you to in a moment. And this is also the reason why we're filming this, because we just want to give some clarity about it. That in the coming days, it might not just be car content online, but also some renovation and moving. And I think we're going to build a dream workshop again, at a smaller location that needs to be organized more efficiently. That's right. We're leaving Amsterdam, but I believe it's still within the municipality. It's generally Amsterdam. Yes, so we are leaving Amsterdam West, but we're still staying in another part of Amsterdam. But because it's actually a farm, we pay much less rent. We've agreed on an all-in price, and that's super nice. And it's also not for commercial use, so it can't be used as a car garage. But that's not our purpose either, because our purpose is just to make YouTube videos and actually keep it for ourselves. So it's actually kind of a hobby garage / studio, where you don't actually work on consumers' cars, which officially allows you to be on a farm like that, which is of course super nice. And because of that, it's a lot quieter. There are horses around us, fields around us. Most importantly, there are ample parking spots available. Yeah, not only that, there are of course a few other advantages as well. Look, you guys know we already have kids, and growing up in a place like this on a farm is super nice. You have space and freedom, and you can do whatever you want. Your kids can just run outside freely. Yeah, so the kids can easily come over to us and just play on the property while we just make our videos. That's really important to us. And besides that, just the peace and quiet. Here on the property, cars are constantly driving by, horns honking inside. People come and stand in front of the door with music, and because of that, we just can't continue our content, so we're really getting stuck because of that. In fact, they're literally peeing against your door. Caught on camera, they just cover for each other. Yeah, they cover for each other. They just pee right here against that door, and yeah, we just want to get rid of that completely. So we're moving. We haven't decided yet whether we'll take our bridges with us or sell them, or how we're going to handle all of that. In fact, our lease here has been terminated. And we just have to leave the building in 1 or 2 months. Yeah, have a 2-month notice period, but usually because it's really Amsterdam, and it's super desirable to get a location like this. It's usually already rented out to someone else within just 1 month. And that's also super nice for us, because that way we're not stuck with the other months of notice period that we'd have to pay unnecessarily if this place is already empty. So coming back to that parking spot, as you can see, there's even a car parked sideways here in the workshop, because we're really running out of space. These days, our landlord asks us for extra money to be able to park the cars in front of the door. Yeah, because we do get 2 spots in front of the door. One is literally in front of the garage door, and the other is in the middle of the lot. Those are the spots that are assigned here. But because all those car garages together actually park even more cars than they really should, there is no space. There's no space. So the landlord asked us either to remove the cars or to pay more for parking spaces. Because there are parking spaces, but now we have to pay for them. These are cars that we actually buy and sell just for fun, for entrepreneurship. But yeah, those cars sometimes stay longer than expected, and because of that, they do take up space. So, because we have so many vehicles, just here alone, we have 6 or so. We put this one inside on those stands, so we can just stack them like Tetris. And as you can see, this way, you really make optimal use of the space. On a farm like this, of course, you have all the space you need. The farmer also gives us the space to park several cars. The idea is not to turn it into a junkyard. So the cars will be parked separately in the parking lot, because it's also a horse riding school? No, it's a boarding stable. And that means horse owners can keep their horses there, and they can just come by on a daily basis to take care of their horses. And of course, those people also come by car. So the idea isn't to park 20 cars there, but you can imagine there's enough space for it to just park a few cars. And you haven't seen the inside space yet, but it's about as big as this, where we are now. Yes, exactly. The space is divided so that upstairs we have as much room as downstairs, but upstairs we only use about half of it. Which is a real shame. It's more like storage for junk we've collected over the years. Junk? Yeah, we really have a hard time throwing things away. And okay, there are also a lot of things we haven't touched in 3 or 4 years. And we're just going to throw those away now. Because we simply don't have that space at our next location. So in that regard, we're making some progress. Because we're also cleaning up a bit. And we're also making progress because we have lower overhead costs. So it's also about the business cost picture. Because in the end, we're just a company, we make YouTube and it all costs money. And you actually want as little overhead as possible to keep as much profit as possible. Look, for the companies that are located here on the premises, it's really useful that people can drive by and find a business. And that's also their business model, that people can just come in for a car garage, for a car repair. But for us, that's not our business model because we don't do any work for the customer. So our business model is not that people can just drive by here and walk in to get something done. So we do pay for it, even though we don't actually use it, and that's just a waste of money. I think we've now given you a lot of clarification about how we feel about this in this workshop. And I think we should just head to our new workshop. Well, it's still being renovated, it's still being remodeled, because they used to be horse stables. And they're now being transformed into workshops/workspaces. So let's head over there quickly. We're keeping the location anonymous for now because that's easier for us and maybe also for the landlord there. We're now driving on the dike towards the workshop, towards the new workshop. And as you can see, I'm not driving the van. That's because I'm completely fed up with that van for now. It doesn't drive very well. And I've actually bought something cheap now. A small car, which is super fuel efficient. Of course, I only get reimbursed for the miles, so I needed something cheap for now. Something small, so not that big work van. That one just drives so clumsy and is so big, it really wasn't fun, but it's so cramped here that you even have to pull over for each other to get across the dike. So imagine if one day we also have a supercar, then it will get really difficult, even though you have to renovate everything again and deal with all the stress of moving. But soon we'll have something new, something beautiful, and hopefully we'll stay here a bit longer than 10 months, because I really don't feel like moving forever. We're at our new location. I have to confess something because of that. We didn't buy this. We've actually always said that if we move from our current location, it would only be if we're going to buy something. But in this case, it's so advantageous that we just have to take this step. As you can see, we're actually just on a farm, so it's also a boarding stable. There are a lot of horses further down. These used to be horse stables as well. As you can see, there's no garage door installed there yet. That's actually the location we came to check out. We can open it for a moment to show you what we actually came for. That is this space. This is a space that's actually just ready for the fair here. And yeah, this is quite a nice space for the price you actually pay. The farmer did mention that a rolling door would be added here in the future, but that's not for now. Maybe it's not easy to see how big this space is, but it's 10.5 meters by 4.5. It's actually quite spacious, I have to say, and you might be wondering if you get this kind of space by downsizing, but again, the space we have is actually way too luxurious for us, because we have so much space that we don't even use. And if we were to rent, let's say, the space we're standing in now, it would actually be just enough for all the materials we have. But anyway, then we come to our second choice. The second choice is also kind of our first choice, right? Actually, in the end, yes, because it's right next to this one. So with the garage door, like you just saw, and that garage door is not only nicer, but also more practical than a regular door that swings open. And you have to look past it a little because they're still busy renovating here. There's still scaffolding here. And yes, we have an attic here. An attic that we also have only a lot smaller. I think this attic is, if I remember correctly, 25 square meters. Yeah, so that's, what would it be? About a third of the attic we have now. And that's actually just enough for us. It all looks a bit messy right now, but it's still completely under renovation. Later, when all the walls are smooth and in one color, And when everything is just finished off, then you'll actually see the final result. The farmer also says he finds it really impressive that we can see through all this and that we chose this space, while the other space next door was just finished. Except for the rolling door, we still chose a space that wasn't finished yet. But the delivery of this one is coming up soon. They're working hard, you can see it everywhere in the tools. They've installed a new rolling door, a different front door. They're finishing everything up. Actually, it's exactly perfect the way we want it delivered, because after that, we can make it to our own taste. And that's the idea, because as you can see, there's still little lighting, and we're going to take care of that, of course, with our hexagon lamps or another pattern that we'll choose for our ceiling lighting. And then there's the attic, which we just talked about briefly. And the attic is also the place where I'll be editing soon, and you can get a really cool view looking down at your cars. That is something that wasn't really necessary, but it's cool to maybe make time-lapse shots of it and things like that. And from here you can see how far it will be to eventually see your cars on the bridge as a kind of goal or something, you know? That you can look over your own territory like this. All of this will still be finished and made new. And like I said, it's still a mess, you have to look past it, but this is going to be a mega epic place. Yeah, I'm really incredibly enthusiastic. What I also want to say is there are still 2 really old cabinets here. Of course, those will be removed, and that will make the space even bigger. Of course, we might put our lounge back here as well, our editing room. Some more cabinet walls, of course, for storing our Lamborghini E-Gear stuff. And yeah, we still have a lot of parts from our supercars, of course. So yeah, those will naturally increase over time as well, but you don't just get rid of them. So of course, we're taking them with us when we move. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about the space. I have to say, the windows will still be closed there, right? Then it will get a lot darker. Everything will still be closed there. So actually, it will be pretty dark upstairs. Yeah, that's right. But anyway, we can solve all that with our own lighting. So for now, I understand if you don't yet see the ideal image of how this workshop is going to be. But we definitely see the potential already, and soon we'll actually have space that we can really use. It's just that we save almost 2/3 of the costs when you add everything up. So that's really on a yearly basis, guys. So that's huge. You could actually buy a super luxury car with that. Yeah, exactly. And now that we're inside here, we can immediately hear the rain on the roof. Yeah, the roof of this hay barn is actually made of metal sheets. And now it's actually drizzling. It's not even raining heavily yet. The hay is already getting quite wet, actually. So it's important that we experience things like this, because then we know that at the very least we need to insulate the roof. Or that we need to hang something on it. Must check if it's pouring rain, right? Which happens quite a lot in the Netherlands. The winter season is coming. Yeah, you're heading into winter soon, and it just has to be right. So those are the things we still need to think about. How we're gonna solve that. But I can already picture us sitting here with our old workshop cabinets, and on top of that, just a fresh coat of paint. Everything's super fresh. Maybe even 2 new lifts, or 1 new lift. We still need to think about the setup we want, because there is enough space to put down 2 lifts, so to speak, and of course, then those 4 cars on them. It's just that we still need to think about how we're going to arrange it, and of course now also about how we're going to insulate the roof. So yeah, and of course it's still an advantage for you, because for you it's really just around the corner from your house, so you also just don't lose any travel time during rush hour and things like that. I think so. It has many more advantages than disadvantages. And yes, the roof still needs to be insulated. With that said, don't forget to subscribe. Do you guys like that we're moving or not? Unfortunately, we're definitely going to do something, so if you have any ideas for us, let us know how we should arrange things, and then you'll see us in the new episode where we might already be moving things. See you soon, ciao!